Welcome along. Now, I want to bring to light two astonishing cases of asylum seekers avoiding prison. Firstly, the Rolex Rippers, as they're infamously known, a case which saw two asylum seekers going around London robbing watches from people. Algerian Amin Abdelkader and Egyptian Yusuf Garef cornered an innocent man, covered his mouth and ripped his watch off his hand. Well, you'd imagine a violent robbery like that would command a prison sentence, but not in lawless Britain, no. The two asylum seekers were let off with community service. Elsewhere, in Bournemouth, an asylum seeker who was found guilty of assaulting a female police officer after drunkenly pestering female joggers was let off with a slap on the wrist. So Jordanian national Mustafa Al-Mabadin was originally going to be given community service, but, get this, the judge decided not to make him do that because he doesn't speak English and he'd need a full-time interpreter, and apparently that might cause some kind of health and safety risk. Instead, he's been fined £26, which he'll have to pay back at the rate of £2 a month. Apparently, for the past 4 months, he's been staying at the Roundhouse Hotel, which has a Home Office contract to house asylum seekers while their applications are processed. Now, in each of these cases, there appears, as far as I'm aware anyway, to be no indication that any of them might be deported. I'd quite like to know whether or not Labour will do anything to sort this kind of egregious soft justice out. Let's get the thoughts of my panel, shall we? I've got GB News star presenter Nana Akua, Conservative peer Lord Bailey and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larzer. Nana, there does appear to be incredibly soft justice here amongst all of these people. No questions, as far as I can tell anyway, of any kind of deportation. Do you think the Labour Party might do anything to get a grip of this?
I mean, look, first of all, they're having a laugh, really, aren't they? They are asylum seekers. They are coming here to this country to claim asylum because apparently they've been persecuted or fleeing some sort of persecution elsewhere. So the fact that they're here, they've committed crime. That's the end. You've committed crime. You've come here to seek asylum. You come to my house and you think you're going to mess it up. You think you're going to say, I'll kick you out. That's it. There should be there's no two ways about it. And this would put off any other asylum seekers for committing crime. Will the Labour Party do anything about it? I don't know. I'm not impressed with border command control. I think it's just a rehash of what we've already got.
Well, it also doesn't really exist at the moment.
Well, it's marketing, isn't it? And how long is it going to take Sir Keir Starmer to wrap all that up? It's going to take months, years. You're not going to get deals and negotiations and everything with all these things. And then the worst thing about these particular cases are they have been given sort of sentences that will hang later, so that if they are granted asylum, now they can't really work properly. No one will employ them. So now they become dependents on us, the taxpayer. I say, chuck them out, send them back.
Well, I'll come to you in a second, Joe. I'm keen to get your view on it, because we are nosing this, Matthew, on whether or not we think Labour will stop this kind of thing. Will they?
Well, I hope so. And I think that what we clearly need is a joined-up system. We need a immigration system, an asylum system that works, so people aren't sitting in hotels awaiting appeals for months after months. And we need an asylum system that talks to the justice system, so that if somebody is found guilty in this case, frankly, I don't think we should be giving them a community order. We should be deporting them. And so we need a system that talks to each other. I mean, there is an emphasis this week. Yesterday, the new Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, announced that that this ridiculous backlog will be her priority, that they're going to try and get those processed as quickly as possible, because we can't be having people living in hotels and hanging around street corners. OK, Sean, I mean, I suppose initially this has happened under a Tory government. Well, it has, hasn't it? Labour have only been in power for 15, 16 days or whatever it is, but... 13. Yeah, there you go. But what should they be doing to stop this? I mean, can they? I mean, the law as it currently stands is that conceivably we can't send any of these people back anyway, can we?
The law is capable of stopping this, but it's about the culture. And I want to come at a slightly different angle. This is what drives crime. The biggest single driver of crime is the idea that you'll get away with it. So if you grow up as a young person in a community, you see lots of crime, you see very little consequence, it becomes much more attractive. So you could be 100 miles away from this crime, think it's got nothing to do with you, but it's affecting you in your community as well. And the other piece is this. Labour have made a big play about shortening sentences, dealing with people in the community. Let's be very clear. If they don't get on top of things like this, the public won't trust them and they won't be able to do what they want to do because they will lack public support.
I agree with you, Sean.
I do also wonder, though, Nana, I mean, this really isn't just a political issue. I mean, a judge in the case of the individual who's been residing in Bournemouth swallowed the line from the guy's lawyer, who's earned his money, which presumably we're paying, by the way, but has earned his
I think we can be pretty convinced about that.
money, by successfully arguing that this guy can't speak English, so would need a full-time interpreter with him during community service, and that in some way poses some kind of health and safety risk. And the judge has just gone, yeah, all right. And I think, well, that's a bit soft. I mean, that's not Keir Starmer's fault.
Well, no, but didn't he tell her the lady to F off as well?
Yeah, in English.
In English.
He knows 2 words at least.
But let's be clear, if you ever learn a foreign language, you learn the swear words first.
The bottom line is this, right? It's really simple. You are an asylum seeker, you've committed crime. What I would like to see from this Labour government is that they get rid of people who have committed crime and are waiting for asylum. It's so straightforward. They don't need... I mean, you can have a very brief courting system. If they want to appeal, then they need to pay. If you want to appeal something where you've come into somebody's country and you've committed crime and you don't agree with the thing, then you need to appeal. You pay for it. We're not paying for that.
It feels slightly ungrateful. You're here at our goodwill, and then you commit a crime against us in that way. I think is terrible. But to be fair, let's be clear, this is not the Labour government's fault.
No.
But it is their responsibility to get on top of it.
And as you say, Sean, it's a big challenge too.
Yeah.
I mean,
but no, actually, it's the judiciary's fault, because our legal system has ways of dealing with. You don't need to change the law. You don't need a politician.
It's about how you apply it.
The legal fraternity should...
I mean, the 2 countries involved are interesting, because obviously Keir's put a lot of emphasis that he wants to get more returns agreements. Both Jordan and Egypt, where tens of thousands, in both cases, of British holiday makers will be going this summer.
Although you could make a similar case for Rwanda, couldn't you, as well?
Well, exactly.
Absolutely, yes, but I mean...
crime, you go back, and there doesn't need to take a Labour or Conservative or any government. It's quite clear. You've come here, asylum seeker, you've broken the rules,
And there are countries where we can send people back to.
That's my point. We need to get on top of it. What I really are desperate for us to do is separate asylum seekers, genuine asylum seekers, from economic migrants. I don't know, but I don't recall either of these 2 countries being on the danger list of countries that you can't...
No, I mean, you can make a case because, by our standards, pretty much any other country in the world is more unstable and there's more chance of you being arrested. So... yeah, that's part of the legal issue. The other aspect to this, which I don't think enough people are mentioning, is if you are a police officer and you go undercover, and there was a very similar incident with Rolex rippers in London, in the same area, actually, of London, not, too dissimilar time from this, where police officers went undercover, putting themselves in massive risk, flashing their own watches to get accosted by people so they could nick them, risking their own lives. I mean, those police officers would not want to do that for a community service for the person who's done it, Sean, surely.
I tell you what it does. This denigrates the work of the police. That is a very risky thing to do, and they'll have done it out of a sense of duty. They'll have wanted to do it. But we as a society, as a legal system, have to respect that level of endeavour. If they're going to take that step, the least we could do is give people appropriate sentences. And the key thing about not giving someone a decent sentence because they can't speak English, you're setting a precedent. Now, if I'm sat in a community and I think, hold on a minute, I don't speak good English, or I can at least pretend not to speak English...
I mean, it's not a defence, is it? You can't speak the language. Well, at least you can speak the language from where you come from.
Were any questions asked of how much English is spoken in the asylum application process? I don't think the 2 systems talk to each other. I think they're completely separated. And we need joined-up thinking, because this is ridiculous. Because, as you say, Sean, appointing James Timpson, the guy who believes in rehabilitating prisoners and he's put his money where his mouth is with his company, is a great thing. But unless you've got public confidence in the system, that's not going to work.
I think it's too you're complicating it too much. I think it's really quite straightforward. You're an asylum seeker, you come to a country, it's not your country, you commit a crime, you forfeit your right to asylum. That's the end of it. I don't understand what the problem is with that.
What you're saying, I thought that was the rule.
Well, that should be the rule. I don't understand.
Well, it is,
but that's what I'd like to see the Labour Party doing. If they did that, I'd be happy.
Can I just ask you, Nana, quickly on this one, which is, another aspect to what this guy in Bournemouth did was that the reason it appears why the police officer was present was because he was drunkenly approaching, we believe anyway, I think, female joggers. Yeah. Right? Now, that in itself is a problem. He also pleaded guilty to being drunk and disorderly, so it wasn't just the issue with the female police officer. That is another issue here, which is, the safety of women.
Well, that's right. And a lot of the countries where the people have come from, women are subservient in some of those countries. So, you're dealing now with a very different culture. And this guy was caught on camera doing that. And it was actually a camera operator who alerted the police to his behaviour.
Right.
So, I think it's the safety of women, of course. And the fact is that they don't even get punished properly, and then he can claim that he can't really speak the language properly. The reality is they need to be punished, because otherwise there's no disincentive. This will just carry on.